are a few things that you have learned in the army that people usually don't. What was it like being a veteran?
You still want to own that identity, but you also have to develop a new one. You have to be a new person.
What does Anzac Day actually mean, and what does it mean to you?
Anzac spirit is going into something that looks like it's unwinnable and showing up anyway. Once you join and you become part of that culture, you want to prove you can.
Isn't it scary though? Today's podcast is about bridging cultures and honoring veterans, a Tawasul Foundation project that is all about celebrating the stories of Australian veterans and sharing them with multicultural communities, helping us all appreciate the service, sacrifice, and humanity behind the uniform. In each episode, we'll sit down with veterans and community leaders to explore their journeys, experiences, and reflections, highlighting the shared value that unites us all as Australians. Today, we're with an Australian veteran who served in the Army for 11 years. Let's get to know what it actually means to be a part of the Australian Army with Rach Ranton. Was that right? Did I get it right?
Yeah, you got it.
How are you? Hi.
I'm really great. Thanks so much for having me today. I'm really excited to have a chat to you about all my time serving the Australian Army.
We're really excited to know what it actually means to be a part of the Army. I'm going to step right back and I want to know, how did you get into it? Was it your dream since childhood, or what was it for you?
Definitely not. I finished year 12 and I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do, but I knew I definitely wanted to get out of the small town that I'd grown up in. I grew up in a little place in northeast Victoria, about 1,500 people, and I was like, right, I want out of here. I want to go do something. I want to have adventures. I want to have an experience beyond what I can get here. And so the Army was just a way for me to be able to go and do that straight away.
That's really interesting, because most people from after year 12, they travel the world to get the experiences, and you chose the Army. Was there a reason Army attracted you?
I know, I should have gone to Europe, right?
Most people come backpackers.
Yeah. It's a different type of backpacking, but
a paid backpacking?
Paid backpacking, yeah. I just think I probably was looking for something with some purpose, probably looking to do something that was bigger than me.
Okay.
And at the same time, I knew I'd be exposed to things that I hadn't even thought about if I did something like join the Army.
Okay, and when you started, what did you start off with? How does it work in the Army? First of all, do you just start off? Do you get deployed?
You go in and you sort of sign up. You decide you agree you're going to go and join the Army, and you sign up. And I joined as another rank. So you're either an officer or another rank.
What does that mean?
Officers are the people who will lead the teams and are the higher ranks in the Army. Other rank is everything from private to corporal to sergeant to warrant officer. So they still lead teams, but they're more likely to be on the battlefront rather than making decisions on a map somewhere.
Isn't that riskier?
It is riskier, but you also probably get to do a lot more of the like tactical, hands-on sort of side of things. You're going to be right there on the ground rather than maybe back somewhere. And I mean, there's plenty of officers that are part of what happens right there on the ground as well. But I definitely wanted to jump right into what I thought would be hard.
So you started as the other rank?
Yes, and so the first thing that you do is go to Kapooka. So that's sort of in
Where is that?
Yeah, New South Wales, like near Wagga Wagga.
Okay.
You know where that is, yeah? Sort of.
Sort of? On the border?
Yeah, sort of between Sydney and Melbourne, but further inland.
Okay.
And so you go there and you spend 3 months there learning how to be a soldier. So you learn how to march, you learn how to fire a weapon, clean a weapon, look after a weapon. You learn how to run and do all the things that you need to physically in the military. And you learn the ethos of soldiering. You learn...
What is the ethos?
So all the things around the values of the military. I think a lot of it is the values that a lot of people would have anyway, around integrity and teamwork, courage, things like doing things for each other or things for a bigger purpose. But it's just really amplified and really encouraged.
Okay.
You're encouraged to explore all those parts of yourself and to keep asking for more. Whatever time you run on your fitness test, you are trying to go faster. Whatever equipment you carry, you're trying to carry more. It's a real baptism of fire, learning how to dig deep within yourself, that it's definitely overall in the whole army, that's a real thing of value that I got out of my service, was understanding just how deep I could dig when I needed to, and that all starts at Kapooka.
That is amazing. And I would say that you just got there after year 12, so you grew up with the army.
Yeah, totally. I was 17, so I joined the army.
So you can be in the army before 18.
Yeah. So long as you have to get your parents to agree to sign up, and obviously my parents were very happy to get rid of me, but they supported me going and doing something adventurous, and they did laugh at me and say, "You're going to hate being told what to do," but it was a great fit. And that's where it all started. And they you figure out what job you're going to do in those early stages. So
you do multiple jobs.
Well, that first 3 months at Kapooka is all about learning basic soldiering, because in every job that you do, it's soldier first and whatever your trade is after that. But what the Army does really well is look at what are your potential strengths, or what are the things that you might be good at, that you show an aptitude for, and then they try and steer you towards a career that fits that better. So if you're really great at understanding how this cog will move against that cog and what way that means the band will turn, then they might encourage you to explore things in engineering or in in mechanical side. If you understand how numbers work, they might put you towards signals, and they sort of look at a blend of skills and capabilities and then go, right, we think you're going to really excel in this type of work, and try and steer you towards that.
That's interesting. So you said if someone is in the engineering side, do you also study along with it if someone is more inclined towards it? How does it work? Because you went after year 12.
Yeah.
Usually people do a degree for engineering or accounting or finance. So how does that work in the army?
Yeah, you can absolutely continue your study. So plenty of people that join the army go straight into like almost a army university style of thing and come out with a bachelor's degree off the back of that. Other people might go and do more on-the-job training first and then potentially pick up that formal training later on. There's lots and lots of scope for continued education the whole way through your career, and in your field, but also in adjacent fields, and also in pure leadership. If you're identified as someone that they think has good leadership capability, the very first leadership course you'll do is 3 months.
So you do courses at the army?
You do courses in the army.
Oh, wow, that's interesting.
Yeah. And they might be long, they might be short. You might learn languages, you might learn technical skills, you might learn practical things. You might want to join special forces, and so you will go on a course and go on a test to be able to determine whether that's the right fit for you as well.
That's really interesting. What are a few things that you have learned in the army that people usually don't?
One of the things that I thought was really cool is I wanted to get a truck license. And so
a truck license? Why did you want a truck license?
Just thought it would be cool to drive a big truck. So I got a Unimog license, which isn't that big a truck. It's sort of a medium rigid type of qualification.
You have a truck license that is cool enough.
But it was great. It was awesome. And I did that maybe a year or two after I joined the army. So I was 19 and then driving a big truck as well. So that was cool. Definitely things around weapons. That's a really weird thing when you leave the army. You go, oh, I'll probably never touch a weapon again. Because of course you wouldn't, living in Australia, in most circumstances, unless you want to. But that was part of your everyday life, is understanding how does that weapon work, learning how to use machine guns, like understanding how to keep that weapon active and in service so that you could rely on it at all times. That's something that's definitely not a normal thing. If I watch a movie with shooting, you're going, that's not how many bullets that weapon has.
Oh, so you can catch those things. You know those people in the movies, they're like just shooting around. And I'm like, why does the gun, it doesn't end?
Yeah, no. Yeah, because it does.
It's a movie.
Yeah. But so those 2 courses I did. I've learnt some languages while I was in the army.
What languages do you know?
I learnt Indonesian. And I also did a short course on Pashto.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Why do you have to learn languages at the army?
A lot of the time you're trying to figure out how you collaborate with other armies or be able to do joint exercises. There's all sorts of reasons to be able to make sure that everyone in the military can actually work with other forces and be able to do things that work on the battle space.
So by you learning Indonesian, were you deployed ever in Indonesia?
I was deployed to East Timor, which is nearby. We didn't know we were going to be deployed there, but so being able to have Indonesian language meant we could liaise with local military that was in the area or be able to organise anything that needed to happen in terms of, getting peace to that area.
And what was your journey trajectory like? Like in corporate, usually, there's an associate, then you become a manager, a lead, a director. How does the army work in, I'm so sure the different departments, different aspects, but what was it for you?
So some of it's the same as that. You have a particular rank structure you need to move through and it is the same. But what's probably different is in corporate, you've got a lot of control about what comes next with your career. You might take on a big project or be pushing for a promotion. Whereas in the army, a lot of the time it's about your commanders will say, this person's ready. I think they've got the talent to lead. Let's push them forward and put them on a course.
And what did your leader find in you?
I was really reluctant to take a promotion. I sort of really resisted it. I wondered if maybe they were just promoting me because I was a woman. But the teams that I worked in and the people that I worked for, I was really lucky the whole time in the army. They always really supported me and always gave me heaps of opportunity. I had a couple of leaders at the time who were like, you're ready, you have influence over your peers, you are demonstrating all the things we want to see out of you as a soldier, but also as a leader. Go and learn and come back and lead.
That is interesting. And you said something, I'm going to go back to that. You said as a woman, were they promoting you? You had that thought. Were there lesser women, or was it difficult for you as a woman, or was there they needed more representation of women? What is the scenario in the Australian Army?
So it's improving all the time, but I think it's about, in the army, I think it's about maybe 17% of people who are in the Australian Army are women, so it's still quite a low proportion. And at the time, we're talking quite a long time ago now, maybe 20 years ago, there was probably even less. And so there's this idea of, you can't be it unless you can see it. So obviously we want to move people into positions so that people realise there is a way forward. But I was worried that I was being put into that role only because of that. Whereas the people that I was working with were like, no, you've absolutely earned this. Go and do it and come back and lead teams.
Why do you think there's lesser women joining the army?
I think from the outside, it can look like a very masculine environment. It can look like, and a lot of the elements of it, I guess, there's a lot of physicality that's required to be a really great soldier. You need to be physically fit, be able to carry heavy things, to be able to deliver outcomes and be super assertive. And I think, women are doing more and more of that all the time of their own choice, not just women in the army. But sometimes I feel like maybe women are worried about joining that environment. What will it be like? What will my experience be like? I was lucky. I had a great career. I had great experiences. It absolutely was formative for me, becoming the human that I am today and understanding just what I'm capable of. I really learnt that in the army.
With that, I did read it online that you were also deployed in Afghanistan. How did you get there? We would love to know more.
Yeah, so yes, I was deployed to Afghanistan. So in 2006, the first Australian regular army deployment went to Afghanistan, and so I was part of that first group of people that went over there. I'd learnt some languages, I'd been to East Timor already with some teams, and I had built a really good skill set that meant when they were choosing a team, they picked me. That is another really cool thing about the army is when you work with great leaders there, they just want the best fit for the team. They want to build a team that's got the right skills, the right talent, the right personalities that are going to work together, and they just pick that team. And so, I was lucky enough to be selected in that team, and we deployed overseas. And that was the pinnacle of my military career. We were embedded with frontline troops and went out on patrol regularly, providing intercept and warning for what was happening on the battlefield. And it was absolutely awesome. Great career move.
It sounds awesome, but it also sounds risky, and especially with media and everything that was out there, it sounded very risky, the battle and the war and everything. Was it risky? Were you risking your life?
There was plenty on all the time through all of that period of deployment over there. And that's what you're going into, but that's why you're there. That is why, I think that when I joined the army, I probably didn't go, geez, I'm joining because my life might be on the line. But once you join and you become part of that culture, you want to prove you can.
Yep.
You want to be included in whatever's happening to be able to, make the world a better place. You want to be part of that.
Isn't it scary though?
I don't know if at the time...
Like, as a normal person, you have the army mindset, but I'm thinking of a normal person like me, it sounds amazing, and the values that you're talking about, the ethos, it is service before yourself in a way.
Yeah.
But as a normal person, it sounds scary. Army as a concept is not easy. You think of your country, your nation first, and your people, and then second about yourself.
Yeah.
So isn't it scary from that perspective?
Yeah, I mean, I guess, like logically, yes.
Yes.
And at the time that I went to Afghanistan, our son was 5 as well. So there's that added layer of thinking about, oh, wait, I actually understand my mortality now a lot more that I'm a parent.
Yeah.
Rather than before when I was a teenager and you think you're immune to all of that.
Yeah.
But I think that you're so well prepared. You are so well drilled. You've got such a great team around you with people you trust. You just believe that everything will work out.
Okay.
And so that helps to alleviate that day-to-day risk. And then as soon as you start patrolling, you have experiences, things happen, and then you come back, you debrief, but you're ready to roll out again the next day. And so it just becomes normal.
It's a regular thing for you.
Yeah, that level of risk becomes your new normal. And so when you come back to Australia, it can be super weird to do things like go to the supermarket.
And you're like, this is so normal.
Yeah.
Like, nothing exciting about this.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people, when they leave Defence, that can be a real transitional struggle, is to go into the next job and go, well, where's the meaning in this? There's no risk, so it doesn't feel as impactful, as it doesn't feel like you're contributing as much or making such a difference. There's not as much purpose. You've got to spend time finding what that new purpose is after Defence.
Yeah. So you've served in the army for 11 years. What does it mean to be in the Australian Army after serving for 11 years?
It becomes a big part of your identity, and definitely that connection to service and to team is probably the biggest thing that I think I have had continue through the rest of my life. So that I want to work with people who I think have my back. I want to have people around me who are going to have different ideas to me, but that add strength to us as a total unit. That you're doing the work that you're doing so we all succeed, not just for individual. I think that keeps coming through, and that's absolutely from what I learned in the army.
That's very interesting. And, they become your family in a way because you're spending half your life with them, more than a day sometimes. You were deployed, so you're like with them, living with them, literally.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. What made you transition out of the army?
Well, it was kids. It was
Okay.
Our son, was 5 when I went to Afghanistan, and when I came back I went, potentially one of us should have a sensible career now that he's going to need to go to school.
Are you saying army is not sensible?
It's a sensible career. It's a great career, but perhaps something a little more stable and in one place. And so...
And you would have to give more time with a kid who's just 5 years old.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You want to be at home. And I mean, I didn't leave... You don't have to leave the army to get more time with your kids. You can absolutely find a way for all that to work. But for our family... that was the plan, was to go, okay, I'll step out of the army and I'll start to build a career outside of that. And then that will give Damo the flexibility to be able to decide, what does he want to do? Does he want to stay in or does he want to leave? Because I've got the stable platform to be able to let him have choices after that. So
And
very deliberate.
how was the transition for you? Because, as you mentioned, it becomes a part of your identity. And suddenly transition into a normal world. I would call the other side of the world a normal world because this is something exciting, or there's a regular system going on. There is discipline that happens. I'm not saying there's not discipline in the normal world, but these are two different kinds of disciplines that we're talking about.
Yeah.
So how do you know what to do? You were working with weapons. You had a truck license. You were in Afghanistan. So how did you transition? How did you know what are you going to do after the army? Or how can you make a choice that, okay, I leave the army and tomorrow I'm going to be working at the supermarket. It could be anything,
Yeah.
but it's a choice that you made. So how did you decide?
I was lucky to be able to choose my discharge, so that's not the case for everyone. Sometimes people might get medically discharged, or they might have other reasons that they are told they need to leave, whereas it was an active decision for me.
Okay.
But even being an active decision, I still had no idea what I really wanted to do. But I sat down and I went, okay, where are we posted now? What jobs are available in town? What do I think might be good? I tried to apply the same ideas that the Army helped me with in figuring out what trade I went into. I went, what were the things I was good at school? What did I enjoy? What's something that might align to that? So I did a lot of maths and accounting and those sort of things at school, and I thought, right, a bank might be the right place for me to land. So
wow.
Yeah, it's just like the Army.
Yes, sure.
But I just wrote up my resume, walked around town, dropped it off, and started going to interviews to start working at a bank.
From being in the field where you're always running and about, or something's going on, and you're now sitting in front of a desk with a PC. How was that for you?
It was definitely a big transition. I landed in a really great team who were really willing to help me, and they really wanted to see me succeed as well. But when I first got there, I'm like, right, we didn't make target this week, so push-ups. They were like, there'll be no push-ups, Rach. We're not doing push-ups. So there was some adjustment. Definitely had to tone down the swearing, but there was some elements that you go, oh, this is a way for us to figure out what works and doesn't work together. So a lot of the time people from military backgrounds, they're quite direct. You get your feedback without a lot of fluff around it. They'll be quite brutal.
Okay.
And sometimes I had to adjust that. I had to be softer with my language or take people on more of a journey before I could say, you're doing a terrible job at your job. But
the normal world is a little different.
Yeah, a little softer. But in other ways, my team were like, I love it. I know exactly where I stand. You never lead me on. You tell me what you need from me. You tell me, when we need to do it. And then you empower me to figure it out myself and help me along the way. And so it's funny, some of the things that I thought would be really difficult with the transition were actually like the strengths that I was able to bring to the team.
I think the Army teaches you to learn on the way and adapt and keep on changing whatever's around you.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. I remember we had this conversation just briefly before this, that you were deployed somewhere and the washroom situation was not the best, so y'all adapted to it. So you're living in everything.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. We were talking about shiwis that exist now. Yeah. Is this what we want to talk about? So.
No, not just the shiwis, but even creating your own washroom in a way. Like y'all had the shovel thing that you mentioned.
Oh, yeah. So, I guess when it comes to teamwork, one of the reasons why your team is so strong in the Army is that you're so exposed to each other. So even things like sometimes in corporate, you can hide the things you're not particularly good at. You can sort of keep those undercover.
Yep.
But that ends up being to the detriment of the team. If you were just honest about, these are my strengths, this is where I don't love to play, let's try and figure out how we could do that, you'd end up with a better outcome. In the military, you have to do that. If you're really strong at something, you say it, and also everyone can see it. There's nowhere to hide. And it's the same if you've got weaknesses or things that you're not so good at. You need to own them, and then because they'll be exposed whether you like to or not.
So then once you left and you became a veteran, what was it like being a veteran?
It's interesting, right? The first couple of Anzac days I went to wearing civilian clothes and my medals, I definitely got asked, are they your husbands or are they your fathers?
Okay.
There's a really easy way to tell anyone who wants to figure it out. Any medals that are worn on the right are family members. Any medals that are worn on the left are the person who's wearing them.
That's a great tip. I never knew that.
Yeah, so if you're at something where people are wearing medals and that sort of stuff, that's an easy way to tell whose they are.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think probably being a woman, I was a pretty young woman. I was 28 when I got out. And so it's not necessarily the image of what a veteran looks like. And so you're sort of in this transition period where you still want to own that identity, but you also have to develop a new one. You have to be a new person, find new purpose, find new passion, and that's always going to be part of who I am, but it is not the only thing that I am.
Yes.
And that's up to you as an individual to figure out once you leave or once you're discharged to go, well, okay, who am I now?
Yep. You mentioned about Anzac Day. Till date, I've been in Australia for nearly 7 years. What does Anzac Day actually mean, and what does it mean to you?
It's a commemorative service for World War One and of Gallipoli and everything that happened for the Australian troops that were deployed there at the time. And I think for me, what it means is that that's the Australian spirit, the Anzac spirit is going into something that looks like it's unwinnable and showing up anyway and making jokes. It is showing up for your mates beside you and working as hard as possible in impossible situations to push forward and achieve a goal. Australian soldiers have a real reputation for being dogged and determined and resilient and hardworking, but also for playing cricket and being jokers and back-chatting.
Being normal people.
Yeah. And I think that's the key, right? Like,
Yep.
veterans are normal people. They've just
Yep.
spent some time in uniform as well.
Yep.
It is... Anzac Day is a great thing to be involved in, and it's actually for everyone.
I was just going to ask you, just can only people who've been in the army or a part of the Navy or any of those kind of departments, can they only be a part of Anzac Day, or can normal people also be a part of it, and how?
Anzac Day is absolutely for everyone.
Okay.
You can attend and participate in all sorts of different ways. There's dawn services, there's marches, there's parades, there's all sorts of things that happen. But if you haven't been to a dawn service, I'd really encourage you to go to one. They're really emotional, really evocative, standing in the dark with hundreds of thousands of strangers as the sun comes up. They're really great experiences, but it is for everyone. Yep. I've had civvy mates ask me, do I need to wear formal clothes? Do I need to follow particular protocols? You don't. Okay. It's your attendance and participation is what matters. So if you've got little kids and they're dressed in their parkas and you're there in your tracksuit pants, it's not performative. You don't have to be or look or anything in any particular way. You can just attend and be part of that moment with everybody else.
It's the sentiment.
Yeah.
It's the moment, it's the sentiment that you feel at that time that it's happening.
And there's always stories. So if you don't know a lot about Australian military history or anything about Anzac Day, there'll always be a story there to connect you to that moment, to learn more about it.
So now that we got to know about Anzac Day, what's the difference between Anzac Day and Remembrance Day?
Remembrance Day is recognises the end of World War One. It's on the 11th of November at 11 a.m. And you'll notice that if you're in a shopping centre, it'll go quiet. It's about a moment's silence to recognise the sacrifices and those fallen during World War One.
That is really interesting and good to know as a multicultural person, because I didn't know the relevance of it. People don't talk much about it. And this, like you sharing your experience as a veteran, that is really interesting for me as a person, and hopefully it is interesting for you guys as well. Has life followed along with you as a person from the army, a veteran, a person in the bank, a corporate girly, is what I would say. Has life followed along for you?
I had a really great corporate career after I left the army and worked at St George and then Westpac Bank, so brands that everyone might recognise.
Fancy.
And had a great career there as well. And all sorts of things sort of opened up the more I tried to blend what I'd learnt in the military with, the teams I was leading when I was at the bank. And so I actually ended up doing a TED Talk.
Okay. What was it about?
So it was about this concept called commander's intent.
Okay.
So it's used in the military a lot. It's about giving your team the end goal, but giving them permission as to how they go about achieving it. So it might be something like, we need to take this hill, we've got 3 teams, each of you have got a different role to play during that, but that's where we're aiming. So I know that on the battlefield things will change and there'll be things I won't be there to be able to control. I trust you guys to make the decisions you need to make to still achieve that big outcome. And what I sort of realised was that type of leadership was what was working for me in corporate as well.
Okay.
To be able to build my team's capability, to be able to tell them what our big goal was, and then just empower them to be able to go about achieving it.
You make it sound like people from the army would be great managers and dealing with people so that they don't micromanage and let the team be what they want to do.
There's a lot more skills that are probably transferable than it seems like there are from the military. Not everyone's the same, of course. Not every soldier or veteran is the same. But there's a lot of good capability that comes out of building strong teams that's really transferable to community groups, to work, to life, that can, translate across.
And have you worked, I know being a veteran, you brought a lot of skills, but have you worked with other veterans or, stayed in touch, or any of the communities you've been a part of?
Yeah, one of the programs I was involved with was about trying to help understand how we could support veterans to start new careers after their time in the military. And so trying to help organisations to build programs to get veterans into their workplaces, because that sense of purpose that you get from work is a really important part of your transition when you leave the army. And so if you can find an organisation that's open to accepting different skills and capabilities and different backgrounds, then you can add a lot of value to your organisation by having a veteran. So I was lucky to work with lots of people who'd come from the army, and then I found in corporate again.
Oh, wow, that's interesting. And is there a way that multicultural communities can help veterans or support veterans when it comes to these things?
Definitely. I think the more that all of our community can be inclusive and can, look at the world through other people's eyes, the better we'll be at being, one big team.
Yep.
Probably some really practical ways is exactly that. In employment, if you see a resume come across your desk that looks like it's got military background and you think, I wonder how this person's going to be a fit, just meet with them. They might bring something really amazing to your team that you might not have thought of.
Yep.
There's also, you'll be surprised how many veterans are just out in your community that you might not even realise that's their background.
Yep.
So, get to know everyone, and you might find that you have a veteran living local that you didn't even know about.
And is there a way for us to address veterans, or it's just like, you go about the normal way?
Yeah, there's not any, you don't need to call anyone by rank, or you don't need to salute anyone or interact in any formal way. America has a real culture of thank you for your service, and that can work. It can also feel uncomfortable, but I think Australians don't tend to stand on formality no matter what, whether they're a veteran or otherwise. So I think understand that they might come from a really different background from you.
Yeah.
But this narrative that veterans are all mad, bad or sad is also not true, right? Some people might be dealing with things that they need a hand with, but in general, they are regular people that are at your playgroup, and they're someone's mum, and they're at sports day, and they're the coach of the footy team, and they're just like you and I.
Perfect. My last question is, if you could speak to the next generation of women thinking about joining the army, what are your thoughts, or what do you want to tell them?
I loved it. It was a great career for me. But you've got to sort of know yourself. Like, what do you like doing? You don't need to know that you want to join the army, but have you got a passion for adventure? Do you like doing physical things? But there's all sorts of ways you can find that. It doesn't have to be the army. There's all sorts of ways to figure out what you want to do in life. For the next generation of women, I would say in general, do the things that you don't think you can, because it's only going to open your eyes to all the ways you're so capable and so ready to play in whatever field you want to.
Wow, that is amazing. I know I said last question, but when you were saying that, is there an age for people to join the army, or anyone, or any part of the service, or there's no age limit?
I don't think so. It's changed a bit since I was in, but I don't think there actually is an age limit. I think that if you're interested, Google it up. But you can find, what's really cool about the military is everything's really transparent. So whether it's what you're going to get paid, or what rank someone might be, if it's what that you want to join, what fitness standards do I need to have, it's all transparent. It's all online. So if you're interested, you can just go check it out and figure out whether it's going to be a fit for you.
And it's pay parity as well, right, in the army?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's no gender pay gap in the military. If you are the same rank as someone next to you, you guys get paid the same. So, it's pretty
That is such a nice thing that it doesn't differentiate between a man or a woman or any other gender, and it just treats you based on your skill.
Yeah, and there's obviously the underlying factors in that, as in, do you get promoted as often, and all of the things that all women face when it comes to those societal constructs that sometimes make things more difficult. But in terms of I am the same rank as that person, then we get paid the same.
Wow, that is amazing. Thank you so much, Rachel, for sharing your journey, sharing your story, and especially sharing it with the multicultural community that's watching it. We as multicultural people do not know as much about the army, but with people like you and veterans like you, that is super helpful to know. Thank you, Rach, for sharing your story with us with the Tawasul Foundation and with me at Humans of Australia and with our listeners. We're truly honored to have you with us today and be a part of bridging the experience to a wider audience.
Thanks so much for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure.
It's been our pleasure. And for everyone watching out there, Rachel is a person who came from a small town with just 1,500 people. And she's been deployed and served in East Timor and Afghanistan and worked in corporate. And these are the kind of people that we want to talk more about, talk more to, and learn from them. To every veteran, every family, and every person who's ever been a part of the service, thank you for your service. And for those listening, if you ever wondered what it truly means to serve Australia, maybe it starts with the courage to serve something bigger than yourself. If this story has moved you, share it with people. Let's get people talking and let's get them to know more about the service for Australia. Thank you.